Good morning and welcome to our Hints and Tips webinar. So today's presenters are myself, Chelsea, and my colleague Megan. We are accounts and tax assistants based in our Attleborough office. M&A Partners has elite partner status, which allows us to provide reduced monthly subscription charges, and we have certified advanced pro advisors within each of our offices who can support any of your queries.
So today we're going to cover how to process sales invoices, adding and allocating credit notes, how to connect your bank feeds, including PayPal, how to complete bank reconciliations, how to submit your MTD VAT returns and view VAT reports, accessing and downloading reports, and how to use QuickBooks Mobile App. There will be a chance at the end of the webinar to ask any questions. So I'll pass you back to Chelsea to start with sales invoices.
Okay, so with regards to sales invoices, we're going to cover how to create a sales invoice, how to edit a sales invoice, how to send a reminder, and how to personalise your invoices. So firstly, we're going to look at how to create a sales invoice. So there are two ways in QuickBooks to create a sales invoice. First way is from the New button, and then there's the Invoice button. And the second way is from the Sales Centre. So if we click into the Sales Centre, then we can go to Invoices and Create Invoice. It will then bring up the sales invoice form and you have to complete the relevant details. So firstly, you input your customer. When you set up the customer, you put in an email address, it will automatically put it here so you can email your invoice out. But if you haven't, you can just simply type the email address in there and it will send the invoice to your customer. The next thing to input is your date. It will default to today's date, but you can backdate it as much as you like. So we're going to go back to last Friday, the 24th. And then you choose your invoice terms. So you've got net 15, net 30, net 60, and due on receipt set up as standard, but you can set your own if you have specific terms for a certain client. I'm going to go for net 30, and that will produce your due date automatically. The next thing to do is put in your product or service. So we're going to go for sales. And then you input a description of what you've sold to your client. So we're just going to put a product. Then you put in the amount that you're going to charge to your customer. So we're going to say £100 here, and you choose the VAT amount. So we're going to choose the VAT rate of 20%. Then there's a few ways that you can get your invoice to your customer through QuickBooks. There is saving and closing it, and then you'd have to print off your invoice and send it to them via email. You can email it straight from the software, or you can save and send it via WhatsApp. So for this one, we're just going to save and close. The next thing we're going to have a look at is how to edit a sales invoice. So from the Sales Centre, you can find your invoices in a list here. If you click on these tabs along the top, that will group them by date, invoice number, or customer. So firstly, find the invoice you want to edit. So we're going to choose this one here, and you click on it. And then you get asked if you want to edit it, and you can edit. And then it will bring up the invoice, and you can edit any of them boxes in any way you like. So you can change the invoice date, you can change the amount. So for this one, we'll change the amount. We'll say that it wasn't £500 the invoice, it was actually £1,000. You can press that and then save and close. If you emailed your invoice originally, the next time the customer opens that invoice, it will bring up the new invoice, the edited version. The next thing we're going to do is have a quick look at how to send reminders. So if you've got a customer that hasn't paid you on time, you can send them a reminder straight from the software. So you go to the customer list. So we're going to go to this guy here. He hasn't paid us for any of these invoices. So if we say we want to send him a reminder for all of them, but not this one because this pending, he's paid for that one, we can click the tick box there, batch actions, and send a reminder. He will then get an email reminding him to pay those invoices. The final thing we're going to look at in the sales invoice section is how to personalise the template of a sales invoice. So the sales invoices on QuickBooks are customisable. To find the area to customise your invoices, you go to the cog and then custom form styles. This is then our invoice template. So if we click on there, you then get 3 tabs. The first tab is the design tab where you can add a logo and change the colour. So to add a logo, you click in here and then click the plus button, and then you'll search for your logo and upload it. You can change the color, so we can change this one from pink to, say, blue. The second tab, you've got content. So you've got 3 sections on your invoice. If you click into the section you want to change, so for example, this one, if we wanted to get rid of the VAT summary, we click in here and we can untick that section and it just removes it from the invoice. Or if you want to add in the discount section or the deposit section, you can just tick the boxes there. And then finally, the third tab is the email tab. This is where when you send an invoice from the software, you can go in here and update the message to your customers. And that's what will go on the email when you invoice out to a customer. You then, once you've done all your changes, you click done and it will update the template for you. Now I'm going to pass you back to Megan, who's going to talk to you about creating credit notes and making payments.
We're going to cover how to add a customer credit note and allocate, how to add a supplier credit note and allocate, and how to add a credit received or paid in your bank. So the type of credit depends on how this should be entered into QuickBooks. So for example, if the credit has been added to your account and it's to be paid against future invoices, this would be added differently to a credit that's been paid through the bank account. So for a customer credit note to be added to the account and allocated against another invoice. So this can be added under the new section at the top left. And then under customer, you'll see credit note. Alternatively, in the sales section here, you can select your customer, so I'll choose Adwin, and then in the top right, you'll see new transaction, and you can click credit note. So to add the customer credit, we select the date, add the product, so for example, I'm going to add sales, add a description, the amount, and the VAT. Then we just want to click Save and Close, or you can click Save and Send. You can then allocate this credit note against multiple or one invoices. So you'd like to click Receive Payment. And then I can either allocate this £60 against this invoice for 1,000 by clicking Delete here and changing this to 60 and then clicking Save and Close. Or alternatively, I could put it in this box here and it would allocate against this invoice. If you have a credit which is due to be paid to a customer through a bank payment, you can go up to New, select Expense, and then you simply add the customer name in here. Make sure the payment account is correct. Add the payment date. Add your category. Description. The amount. And the VAT. And click Save and Close. So to add a supplier credit note that to be added to an account and offset against another invoice, again, this can be added by going into the New selection. And then under Suppliers, you can click Supplier Credit Note, which is just here. Or alternatively, under Suppliers, find your supplier, which we're going to use Red Company. And then New Transaction, and again, Supplier Credit, and add the information in, the same as a sales credit note. So if you want to allocate this credit note, it's the same rules. Here's one that I added in earlier. So I want to allocate this against the first invoice on the 1st of February and the second invoice, and it's automatically put this in for me, but I can just change this if necessary. And then once we've done, we just want to click Save and Close. If you receive your supplier credit in your bank account, you can click the New tab and then click Bank Deposit. Here you can just add the date that the amount was paid, add a received from your account, and so for example, purchases received from Red Company on the 1st for the amount, the VAT, and then click Save and Close. Alternatively, this can be added directly from your bank feed. So next we are going to look at bank feeds, reconciliations and PayPal. So we're going to cover how to link your bank feed, how to process bank transactions, how to complete a bank reconciliation, and then we're going to look at your PayPal and how to process and complete a bank reconciliation. So to connect your bank feed, you just go to the banking menu on the left-hand side. In the top right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a link account button. You simply search for your account or PayPal, then select next, follow the instructions on screen and enter your login details. Select the account that you want to connect, add the date that you would like the feed to start, select the bank account in QuickBooks and then just click Save and Close. Due to open banking regulations, you are required to relink your bank feed every 90 days. This is simple to do as you've already set up your bank feed. After the 90 days, an error message will appear in your banking screen, which simply click the message and re-enter your login details. This will then refresh the feed for you. So now we're going to look at bank reconciliations. So we want to go to our banking tab. So it's important to reconcile your bank feed to ensure your balance is correct. This can be done weekly, monthly, quarterly or annually, depending on how often you wish to complete, but it's important to complete to ensure your bank balance is correct, which also helps when producing your accounts at the end of your financial year. It is essential that you do not leave unreconciled transactions in your bank feed, as this will alter the balance. So first you must process all transactions in your banking screen. So we're going to start with our bank account. I'll match the invoices that have already been pre-entered. So for example, I can see here that Lou Plumbing wants to match to this invoice, which is correct. So we just click match. Same with John Jones, an invoice we've pre-entered, we want to match. Now I can see that an expense wants to match to one that I've previously entered for Red Company. So we'll match this one. So I can see we have a transfer from our PayPal account. QuickBooks has identified that this matches to the transaction from our PayPal account. So by clicking match, we'll process the transactions in both accounts. So now I can see we're left with two transactions. Subcontractor, which I know is John Smith. Add in a subcontractor and 0%. And then we just want to click add. Same with Vodafone. I can add in 20%. Now we just need to process the transactions in our PayPal account. So I can see that Bob already wants to match to the invoice that's been pre-entered, so we can match this. So this here is Bob's fee for PayPal on the money received, which has come through as a separate transaction in the feed. So we simply add this as PayPal fees, bank charges, and this would be exempt. And then the last one left is Amazon, which I know is stationery, and 20%. So now we've processed all of the transactions in our bank feed, we can reconcile your account. So we want to go to the accounting section and reconcile. You'll need your bank statement to hand here as we are going to enter the ending balance and the ending date. So first we want to select our bank account. So my ending balance is 6741.56 and our ending date is the 28th of February. And then we want to click Start Reconciling. So QuickBooks has automatically ticked the transactions for us. So I tend to select all and then unselect just to double check that I'm adding everything in correctly. So now we simply go through and check against our bank statement and tick off the transactions. I can see that I have entered this in incorrectly. So if you do need to change the balance, if you've entered the figure in incorrectly, you can select into edit information, change the ending balance or change the ending date and just click save. So once we've selected all the transactions, you'll see here that the balance is 0, but we do have a transaction left that we haven't selected. So here we just want to double check and see why it's left in the feed, as we don't want to leave it in here if it's not meant to be here. So we just select it and click edit. So for example, this could be the wrong date, so we could change the date here. It might be that the payment was made from a different account. So for example, you may have paid cash, so you can change the account here. Or for this transaction, I know that we've already entered this and this is a duplicate, so this does need to be deleted. So I just need to click more and delete. Now everything matches up, we can click finish now. We now need to reconcile our PayPal account. So you will need a copy of your PayPal statement, which can be found in the reporting section on PayPal. So we just want to enter our ending balance the same as we've previously done. And our ending date. Then we go through as normal and select all of the transactions. The PayPal fee, as I said previously, does appear on a separate line. When you download the report from PayPal, just double check and make sure that the fee has been included on the report. Some of the reports include the fee on the same line as the sales, so just double check that you're adding it in. It won't let you proceed if you've missed the bank charges, as it does reduce the balance. So once you've selected them all and you're happy with this and it comes up with 0, just click finish now. And then select done. I'll now pass you back to Chelsea.
Okay, so next we're going to have a look at reporting, and we're going to cover where to find your reports, how to favourite your reports, how to look at the profit and loss report and understand that, and also having a look at the aged receivables and aged payables reports. So let's go into the software. So the reports is found on the left-hand side under this reports tab. QuickBooks has a lot of reports available to us, but the most commonly used one is the profit and loss report. So the first thing I want to show you is how to favourite a report. So in this long list of reports, if you want to favourite any of the reports, you just click the little star beside the report. So I'm going to favourite the sales by customer detail. So if I favourite that, it'll bring a little green star up, and then at the top it's in my favourites, so it's really easy to access. We're going to have a look at the profit and loss report as an example. We want to look at the full functionality of the report. So if we click into profit and loss, you can run a profit and loss report on any period that you like. Up the top here, there is this drop down here that gives you a range of different date ranges, or you can go for custom and pick whatever range you want to look at. We're going to look at this year to date. So if we click that here and then run report, we can see that for our demo company, they've made a profit of £10,874.43 so far this year from the 1st of January to today. The profit and loss report is really drillable. So any of these numbers that have got a blue line under it, you can click into it and QuickBooks will give you a list of the transactions that are making up that number. So if we go into this services, the £13,260.13, let's click it. And it will show us a breakdown of all the numbers that make up that total. From here, if you notice that anything here has been put in the wrong category, the wrong amount, you can edit it from here as well. So if we said that actually, this invoice here, there's 2 of them, there's £100 and they're both on the same date, so that must be a duplicate. We can open it up. Under the More tab, we can then delete it. So we can now see that our total sales has reduced because we've picked up on that duplicate just by reviewing the report. Now, if we go back to the Reports tab, I want to show you the aged receivables and the aged payables reports. They're essentially the same report. The aged receivables will show you all the sales invoices that are outstanding, the customers that haven't paid you. And the aged payables report is the flip side of that. So it will show you all the suppliers that you haven't paid. So if we just scroll down and go for the aged receivables detail, at the top here again, you can run it for whatever date you want. So we'll go to the end of last month. and run the report. Then you can see here that there's a list of invoices where my customers haven't paid me. You can see that some of these date back a few years, so I can chase them up and get that payment in. So please remember though that the information shown here is only as up to date as your processed banking information. For example, if you've got a sales invoice that has been paid, you know it's been paid, you've seen it come into your bank account, but on here it shows as outstanding, that's because you haven't processed the transaction in QuickBooks yet. So just bear that in mind when you're reviewing these reports. I'm now going to pass you back to Megan, who's going to have a quick chat with you about VAT.
So in this section, we're going to cover connecting your MTD, how to review your VAT return, and how to submit your VAT return. So to connect your MTD in QuickBooks, first click the gear icon in the top right-hand corner. Then under Accounts and Settings, you can go to the Advanced tab and the MTD option is here. So you'll see here, it's just Account and Settings. There is a Learn How to Connect button, which you'll need to click and select Let's Go. You'll be taken to HTML screen where you simply enter your login details and then grant authority. After you've authorised, the MTD badge will appear in your VAT screen, so this will just appear. And then every 18 months, you'll need to reauthorize MTD function within QuickBooks. To do this, it's simply going back to the accounts and settings, turning off MTD and turning back on following the same method as before. We do have a fact sheet which explains steps to complete MTD authorization and reauthorization, so please get in touch with your usual M&A contact if you'd like a copy of this. So we're now going to look at how to review your VAT return. So click into the taxes section and you'll see your VAT screen. QuickBooks will automatically pull through the correct period and publish the information into your return whilst you're completing the bookkeeping. The information at the top of the screen for amount owed and breakdown of sales and purchase VAT. So you'll see all of the figures here. As this is not a live file, we don't have all of the options, but on the right-hand side here, you can see that you'll be able to view VAT details. So this is a report we recommend having a look through before filing your VAT return. This will populate a list of all transactions in the return, which you can scroll through to check, and you can also click into each transaction and amend as necessary. So for example, if we needed to amend this Vodafone transaction, we can just click into it, update it if needed, click Save and Close, and this will update it for our VAT return. We also recommend looking at your exceptions report. So if you go back into taxes and the drop down, this will show you here, view exception details. So this will show you if any transactions have been edited which have been dated in a previous VAT quarter but amended since the last VAT return. So for example, if you filed an expense as 0% VAT in the last VAT quarter, you've now received the invoice and it shows that you should have claimed 20%. Once you've amended this, the transaction will appear in this report here. So to file your VAT return, after you've reviewed your reports and you're happy to submit to HMRC, in the taxes screen on that right-hand side where we prepared reports earlier, this will appear as Prepare Return. You select the green box to submit HMRC once you've selected that. And then you just need to click a box to declare that all information is true and complete. Finally, click Submit to HMRC, and once HMRC accepts this submission, select Done. In the taxes screen, this will now be moved down to filed returns and QuickBooks will bring forward the next period. And now I'll pass you back to Chelsea for the mobile app.
Okay, so with regards to the mobile app, we're going to briefly cover how to use Snap Receipt and how to add an invoice. So first we're going to look at Snap Receipt. So this is a function in QuickBooks where you can take a picture of a receipt. QuickBooks will extract the information and essentially speed up the process of putting that expense into your accounts. It will also attach a picture of the invoice to the transaction, so it's easier to find at a later stage. So under Quick Actions, you've got Snap Receipt here. The next stage is to take a picture. So you take a picture of the receipt, the green box will come up around the outside of the receipt and you take it on your phone or your tablet. You then get presented with a picture of the receipt you've taken, and if you're happy that it's all readable, you can click Use this photo. QuickBooks will then upload the receipt into the software. You can then go to the menu and back into Snap Receipt. where it will show you that the upload is complete and it started the process of extracting the information for you. You'll then get presented with this screen where you can create an expense from the receipt. So you can see that for this receipt, we went to the garage and we spent £1.34. QuickBooks has guessed that it's gone out of the default card account. We can amend that later if we need to. It's taken the date from the receipt and it's also read the VAT. It's also based on what it knows from your previous transaction, it's put it to travel and expenses. But again, once you click the create expense from receipt button, you can amend that if you need to. So in this example, we bought some milk, which obviously isn't a traveling expense. You can update that when you click through into creating an expense from the receipt. And that's as simple as that. It then goes into the software, the expense has been created, and a copy of that picture has been attached to the transaction. So at a later date, if you want to find a picture of it, you haven't got to go trawling through all your paper copies. You can see a picture directly from the app. Next, we're going to have a look at how to create a sales invoice from the QuickBooks Mobile App. So again, under the quick actions, you've got the invoice button here. It will then bring up an invoice screen. It looks very similar to the one that you get online. And you simply have to complete the information, like so. So we've got the name of the customer, the date, the terms, the sales code, the amount, and then you've got the box at the bottom where you can send a message to your customer. So as you can see, it's very similar to the online version of the invoice. Once you save it, you then get a summary of the invoice that you've created. You can then preview it and send it in exactly the same way as you do online, either via email, or you can save it into your software, go back later, print it off and give it to your customer, however you want to get the invoice to the customer really. You then get presented with a copy of the actual invoice they will receive, whether that be by email or whether you're going to print it off. And you've got the option down the bottom here to email it to the client if you wish. Okay, so that was just a brief whistle-stop tour of the mobile app. The next thing I just want to mention is making tax digital for self-employed. So as you might be aware, it's been delayed for another 2 years to April 2026. All we currently know is that QuickBooks is developing a software that will comply with the requirements. And once we have more information on this, we will make sure that is emailed out to you.
So we do have some QuickBooks tutorials on our YouTube channel if you need any further guidance, or alternatively, we can offer one-to-one training sessions. So do feel free to get in touch for a quote.